Okay. Well. Welcome. Today's Happy Wednesday. I'm Senator Isadore Hall. I'm in the house all by myself. Nikki Flores is gone, so it's all about me. You're at the Intersection Live, listening on Dash Talk X. By the way, we have taken over Zoe's YouTube channel. All of his 48,000 subscribers. We're going to have a robust conversation. So, here's what I want you to do. I want you to get your phone out. Give us a call. 323-230-4445. You're at the intersection with Senator Isadore Hall right here on Dash Talk X. Lean in.
Quite frankly, folks, if I'm going to be able to beat Donald Trump in 2020, it's going to happen here. It's going to happen here in Western Pennsylvania. With your help. Only thing that stands in our way is our broken political system that's deliberately being undermined by our president to continue to abuse the power of the office. Donald Trump is the only president who's decided not to represent the whole country. The president has his base. We need a president who works for all Americans. And we can afford this. We can do this. And I'm optimistic for two reasons. One, I know the history of the journey of this country. When ordinary Americans like my family are given an even chance, just an even chance, they do extraordinary things. They have never, ever let the country down. There are three basic reasons why I'm running for President of the United States. The first is to restore the soul of the nation. And the second is to rebuild the backbone of this nation. And the third is to unify this nation. We always do better when we act as one America.
Yeah, so give us a call, 323-230-4445. You're listening to The Intersection on Dash Talk X. Again, we are taking over Zoe's YouTube channel today. I'm Senator Isadore Hall. So here's the deal. Uncle Joe's in. I mean, he's in the game. And it looks like he's taking no prisoners. In fact, all the skeptics said that that little bubble bump that he got in terms of the polling was just a fizzle, and it seemed to be real. It seems like Uncle Joe is in the game, and he is leading. In fact, recent polling would suggest that Biden has 39% of the support of Democrats. Bernie Sanders has 15%. Elizabeth Warren has 8%. Joe Buttigieg has 7%, Beto has 6%, and our own right here in California, Senator Kamala Harris is trailing in 6th position with 5%. So it looks like, and then also there was a poll that showed that 36% of the voters in the United States, Democratic voters, have already decided who they're going to vote for, and their opinion is locked in. So with Uncle Biden at 39%, with 36% of the Democratic voters have been locked in. It looks like his lead is not going to plummet. It looks like that he only has an opportunity to build upon this 39% base. Additionally, in the first 24 hours of his campaign, Uncle Joe was able to raise, I believe it was $7 million within 24 hours, which is more than any other candidate was able to raise during that time. It seems like already Brother Sanders has come out swinging Bernie Sanders has come out swinging at Joe Biden already, basically saying that his record he's going to have to answer for, so forth and so on. So here's what I want you to debate today. I want you to debate whether or not Joe Biden is in fact ready and qualified to be the president of the United States, and also if Bernie Sanders has a right to come out swinging at a Democrat who's been a Democrat for years, fighting for these and the least of these. Now, I need you to take into consideration that Bernie Sanders was an independent, and he registered as a Democrat to run for the Democratic nominee. Once he lost, he re-registered as independent. He's been independent for the last several years. Then he re-registered as a Democrat again to run for president. And I will assume if he should lose, Bernie Sanders will then return back to the roots of an independent. Now, that's just his right. He can do that. But when you use the Democratic platform to bash Democrats, when you yourself have been an independent, I think there's a little disingenuousness going on there. And quite honestly, I think it's just flat out wrong. Bernie Sanders, of course, as an independent, votes yes on everything. And so he cannot hold accountable Democrats that's in the middle of the country that are trying to at best be somewhat level-headed in what they are trying to support and benefit and have the support and bring forward to the people of America. So you're at the intersection. Give us a call, 323-230-4445. I want to hear what you have to say. Give us a call.
How do you beat Biden? How do you do it? I would say easily.
President Trump didn't hold back on the man he calls Sleepy Joe.
I am a young, vibrant man. I look at Joe. I don't know about him.
Former Vice President Joe Biden, who officially entered the presidential race this week, responded Friday on The View.
If he looks young and vibrant compared to me, I should probably go home.
The spat comes after Biden's 2020 campaign video criticized the president's response to racially charged violence in Charlottesville in 2017.
He said there were, quote, some very fine people on both sides. And in that moment, I knew the threat to this nation was unlike any I had ever seen in my lifetime.
People were there protesting the taking down of the monument of Robert E. Lee. Everybody knows that. Keep America great.
The president was in full campaign mode at the National Rifle Association convention, where he announced the U.S. would pull out from a global arms trade treaty.
I'm impressed. I didn't think too many of you...
Yeah, so then you have Uncle Joe out here, 45 out here screaming that he's young and vibrant. And quite honestly, I don't see anything young and vibrant about Donald Trump. When you look at Donald Trump, the real question to beg is, does he look like he can run a marathon? Does he look like he can run a marathon? Does it look like he can swim 2 laps? Does it look like he can walk 4 miles? You know, do you see anything young and vibrant about Donald Trump? I don't get it. And for him to say that compared that Brother Biden, you know, is old and he's young and vibrant. I don't know what stratosphere this guy is orbiting around, or what. I don't know what he's out here. I don't know where his mind is. But here's what I do know. I've seen young and vibrant before, and Donald Trump is not. I know what that looks like, you know, and he does not represent when the Xers and the millennials consider young and vibrant. Bank, you're a millennial, right?
Correct.
When you look at 45, does that represent young and vibrant to you?
Of course not. He can barely probably walk up the stairs without sweating and huffing and puffing.
It does not reflect a young and he does not reflect a young and vibrant president. I think right now what he's doing, he is actually intimidated. Give us a call, 323-230-4445. But I think he is actually, I'm not going to leave. I'm going to stay on this for a second. But I think he is I think he is actually intimidated by Joe Biden. In what he did, he actually baited Bernie Sanders a while ago by saying, oh, yes, I think Bernie Sanders is by far the best candidate and he should actually run. He should actually, I look forward to this. Why? Because he wants to get the weakest link. He knows perhaps that he can beat over, if you will, be successful over Bernie Sanders, right? He knows that. He knows he can be successful over an Elizabeth Warren. But his hitch in the getaway, his Achilles heel is that of Uncle Joe. Because Uncle Joe would take it right to his doorstep and would be relentless in his pursuit of this higher office. Uncle Joe has the experience. He knows where all the bodies are buried. And quite honestly, pound for pound in the boxing rink, I think Uncle Joe could take him out in the first round. I mean, hey, if I had to bet on it, I'm betting on Uncle Joe in the ring. I don't know what you to give us a call, 323-230-4445. Let me ask you a question. You're planning to vote, right? Banks?
Yeah.
Okay. And so you've seen Uncle Joe before. You know Uncle Joe. You know Sanders. You know Harris. You've seen Beto and Buttigieg. You're a millennial, but you're an astute millennial. You're one on the north side of millennials.
Thank you.
Well, I just got to tell the truth about it. So what's going on. So
I'm woke.
You woke. So where are you in this? You see Biden at 39. You see Trump saying he's old, but you see a Beto. You see a Buttigieg. You see a Kamala Harris. Where are we on this?
People right now are saying what they need to say to get people's attention.
Yeah.
So they're gonna say whatever they need to do, get all the press conference, all the press news they need, and media coverage they can get, just to say what they can against Donald Trump. Because whatever you can say against Donald Trump, you might get the people's they vote just because you're going against him, and whatever he's saying, you're going against him. So for me, I'm just waiting for the last two.
Well, don't skip out on me right there. You look like you're skipping out on me.
You got to call us.
You skipping out on me. All right, here we go. Who do we got? Thanks for calling. You're at the intersection with Senator Isadore Hall.
I want to disagree respectfully with the Joe Biden theory as you have stated it.
Yeah.
I think that, so Trump ran as an outsider, and he's kind of governed still as an outsider, which is why most of the town hates him and doesn't want to deal with him. And I think Trump can position Biden as being, this is everything that's wrong with Washington, D.C. Here's a guy that's been in Washington for 50 years. Mm-hmm. And I think Trump would find a tougher opponent in somebody that doesn't have all of the baggage that comes with a Joe Biden. That's my opinion.
I appreciate that. What's your name?
My name is Mark.
Mark, where are you calling from? What area?
I actually am in California.
Oh, all right. With the good weather here. All right. Well, thanks for calling in. Here's what I got to say on this. And I hear your perspective. I appreciate your perspective. And I like when I like when they say I have to respectfully disagree on that. But let me just say this. Mark, I hear your point. The point is that what I'm saying is that, the United States of America, we voted an outsider in, and we realized that it ain't working. We realized that that because he was an outsider and so extreme an outsider that he came in without any type of knowledge of how to work with the different branches of government, with Congress, the executive, all that. He has been totally divisive in everything that he's done. And so I think people are now turned against that. They'd much rather have somebody that knows what the hell they're doing, as opposed to someone from the outside who is extremely divisive, that is homophobic, that is a racist, that is all these other things, returning back to the president of the United States. And so based on the polls, that's what we're hearing. I hear your point. I understand your point. I have a different perspective. Thanks for calling. You're at the intersection with Senator Isadore Hall. What say ye? Are you there? Hello? Yeah, so I think Mark's point is real because it lends itself to the suggestion that a lot of people don't want the what we call the status quo politician. And I understand that. And I believe that some folks need to be replaced because they're part of the inside as we oftentimes call it. But we've dealt with the outside today. We're in the outside right now. And what we know with the outside is that we don't want any more of it. We don't want any more racism-ness or homophobic-ness. We don't want all xenophobe-ness. We don't want all of those nesses and isms that are obviously wrapped around this presidency. You know, kicking kids out of the country, telling people that you're from shithole countries because you're African Americans. That's what we have in this. Thanks for calling. You're at the intersection. What say ye? You're with Isadore Hall. Hi, how are you?
Hello?
Yes, hi. You're on with Senator Isadore Hall, the intersection.
How you doing? What's going on?
Everything is well. What's your name?
Oh, this is Knox calling out of Minneapolis.
Thank you, Knox. What say ye?
I'm kind of lost here because as a black man, I really don't understand what you're talking about.
Yes.
Because none of this shit has nothing to do with us. Don't nobody give a fuck about Donald Trump. Don't nobody give a fuck about Biden. Don't nobody give a fuck about Hillary Clinton. Everybody in the goddamn government is a piece of shit crook. We're talking about a system that ain't shit, as if it's something real. And we're out here trying to be intelligent, talking about bullshit. Do you understand? And I'm not being disrespectful to you. This is just passionate talk right now about where we are. Mother, we had goddamn Obama in the office. We won. We had a nigga in office, and nothing happened for us. Nothing. All the evil shit still happened to us. The Blue Lives Matter got a bill over black people, and we're talking about politics as if it's a real thing. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now I'll take a breath for you and see what you say to that.
I appreciate that. First of all, I appreciate your passion, my friend. But I'm just trying to. Good morning.
Exactly.
So let me unpack this a little bit for you, brother. You said the N-word when you referenced Obama. Okay, I think that was a bridge too far. But we will let that pass, and we'll talk about some of the things that Obama did do. Right? He passed affordable health care. Are you familiar with that?
Don't give a damn about affordable health care. Sorry. Don't give me no trickle-down economics. I don't care about that. Okay. I care about black people dying in the street. I care about Philando. I care about Tamar Rice. I care about a white woman kicking in somebody's door, shooting them in their house. That's what I care about. He had
an amazing criminal.
I don't care about what white people got to. I don't care about what white people got to.
You want to listen to me? Want to listen to me?
Go ahead.
Okay.
So I gotta counter-react.
What about? Did you notice how I was? Did you notice how I was silent during the time you were speaking? Did you notice that?
My bad, brother.
Did you notice that? That was intentional. That was intentional. Let me just tell you why. That was intentional because I wanted to give you the respect to say what you had to say. I didn't want to cut you off.
I got you. I said my bad.
Okay.
You're right. My bad. Go ahead.
All right. He had a robust criminal justice system, platform and plan, policy. Health care, education, making it easier for those who could not afford education to get a college education and to get a skills training or some type of skills training, if you will. He, in addition to that, he also made sure that he passed another piece of the criminal justice system for those who are creating some type of or perpetrating hate upon African Americans will be dealt with accordingly. He did that to the point to which you're speaking of now. You're speaking of that. And he did that. He did that. Now, I understand that a lot of people, and there's just this utter disdain that people have when it comes to Obama saying that he didn't do anything for black people. He was the president of the United States who happened to be black, right? He was the president of the United States who happened to be black. He was a president for all, but a president who happens to be black. And we have this belief that because he's black, that every issue that black folks wanted, he had to carry that. That's not why he was elected president, and certainly would not have been reelected president if that indeed was his goal. Right. And so we have to get out of this mindset to believing that Barack Obama failed black people because he didn't carry out the entire agenda of the plight of the African American community. He did, listen, stand by. He did what he could do with the Congress that he was working with. He was working with a Congress that was Republican, that killed every piece of legislation that he had to advance a sense of equality for the American people. Let's move on. Thanks for calling. You're at the intersection with Senator Isadore Hall. Thanks for calling in. What say ye?
Canada.
Thanks for calling in all the way from Canada. How's the weather there?
Up and down, 4 seasons. You gotta love it.
Well, we're here in sunny California, but thanks for calling in. What you have to say? I'm listening.
I want to ask the congressman about what he's going to do about white supremacy.
About white supremacy? We're going to be dealing with that in the next clip. You're going to hear about that. But I believe that one of the things, and this is an action point that we're going to be talking about shortly. But let me just say this. White supremacy is alive and well in America. And I believe that because of this administration that we have right now, they have decided to take the hoods off their heads, and they really don't give a damn. They're even more active now and empowered now, more so than ever before. We just had a potential devastating bomb site location here in the city of Long Beach, California, that was handed out by an act of supremacy. So it's bad. It's alive and well, and we're gonna have a clip on this. Stand by. Thanks for calling. You're at the intersection.
It's the intersection on Dash Talk X
with Senator Isadore Hall and Nikki Flores.
You have said that thwarted in California. 26-year-old Mark Domingo, an Army veteran, reportedly planned to bomb a white supremacist rally in Southern California. Domingo, who had recently converted to Islam, calling it retribution for the New Zealand mosque attacks.
All of these plans were related to Mr. Domingo's stated belief in violent jihad, and that Americans should pay for attacks on Muslims around the world. This is a good day for law enforcement. Too often police officers and agents are responding to attacks on vulnerable groups, whether they're innocently attending a concert, attending classes, or praying in their respective houses of worship. It's not inconceivable that I'd be standing here today, beginning my remarks by offering condolences to victims of a horrific attack. But not today.
I'm also thankful today to rest a little easier that this plot was not just interrupted, but that we will bring a man to justice who tried to inflict such pain and such injury and such just outright hate here in our communities.
Domingo was arrested by federal agents.
All right. We have a caller. Let's go to the caller. We'll take the issue later. Thanks for calling. You're on the intersection. You're Senator Isadore Hall. What say you?
Hey, what's up, y'all? This is J-Mo out of North Tulsa, Oklahoma.
What's up, brother? Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, peace y'all, man. I got a question for you. Have you always believed in the system since how your reform is doing it? do you still have this have as much passion as you had while you were an active senator, or was that developed while you were in the position?
So let me give you a little history. I was born and raised in Compton, so I was born with passion, right? Okay. My mom raised 6 kids by herself, 2-bedroom, 800 square foot house in the heat of Compton, born and raised, right? Served on the Compton School Board for 3 years, served on the Compton City Council for 6 years, vice mayor pro tem of Compton, went to the California State Legislature representing Compton and South Los Angeles cities and the suburbs around LA, then moved to the California State Senate. The same drive that I have right now is the same drive and passion that I had before I ran for the school board in the city of Compton. And that is the same drive that propelled me to represent over 1 million constituents here in the south part of Los Angeles. And so I have this passion because I believe that it takes passion and a sense of intelligence to move a community forward.
That makes sense to me. I want to know is how do you connect with those of us who no longer trust in the system?
I understand and I get it.
Things have been occurring to the point to where, I mean, I'm 40 and I've had the same question since I was like in 3rd grade, 4th grade, whatever. And seeing those who take the charge to work with the system and to see that, I mean, ultimately people see it as a spit in the face. Maybe we're not as nuanced to be able to tell the minute victories that possibly lead into a massive one or whatever, because we're such in the need of survival. You know what I'm saying? But how do you connect that to those who just say, you know, screw it all together, it's never going to be for us, and wish to withdraw?
Well, first of all, let me just say this. I hear you. And the reality is that that's what I hear a lot from so many people. That's why we have the voter apathy that we have. That's why we have low voter turnouts, because people feel like the politicians, the local, state, and federal politicians have failed you. And quite honestly, I don't blame you for thinking that way. Because when you turn on the television and you read the paper and you see politicians are fighting and you see they have hidden agendas, oftentimes that would convince you to just downshift and to check out. You know, but when you find elected officials like myself and a few others that are serious about this business, you know, hopefully that will spark the flame a little bit to reignite you into a sense of that's kind of a hard word. It would ignite you to get involved in the process. You know, it's going to take that, because when you turn on listen, I watch CNN all the time. I watch Fox. I see what's happening in DC, and I am sickened to my stomach of what I see. And so I know, as a politician, I know you are too. So you fall on valid ground here. I am not going to say that you do not know what you're talking about. You absolutely do. But it takes you to get involved and for you to make a difference. You know, quite honestly, you are a politician, because if you have an opinion and you can exact change in a local community or even in your silo of friends, you yourself is somewhat of a politician or a leader. And that's all it takes for you to bring change in your community. Thanks for calling. I hope you call again. You're at the intersection. Thanks for calling. You're at the intersection. Senator Isadore Hall, what say you?
Yeah, I just called in the last couple of callers in regards to the subject matter you were talking about, President Obama. The thing that I came to understanding was that in regards to his efforts and what he did for 2 terms, I'm certain he felt that he did the best that he could, but my issue is that, you know how we're talking about wealth transfer, you know, as far as the baby boomers are going to be transferring wealth to the millennials and so on and so forth?
Yes.
Well, one of the things in terms of wealth transfer, there is going to be a significant loss of real estate wealth transfer from boomers that are black to the millennials. And part of that was due to him not addressing the housing crisis, more so in favor of the auto industry and the bankers. How say you?
It's not true because we were in an economic collapse when he took office, right?
Right.
And he held the financial institutions accountable for that loss. Now, yes, there had to have been a bailout. There had to be a bailout, but in the bailout, he was the homeowners, folks who were victimized by these vicious Wall Street bankers and taken advantage of with these high inflated mortgages and interest rates, and as a result, was losing their houses. He allowed for these, through legislation and through bailouts, for these people to regain their properties or retain their properties, and also reduce their interest rates dramatically, oftentimes allowing some to stay in their homes for 2 years without even paying their mortgage until they were able to catch up. Now, you have to realize that we were, even right here in California, because of the economic downturn, we were in a $46 billion deficit under the Arnold administration and under the Arnold administration here in California because of the national economic downturn. And we had to turn that around here in California, and the housing situation was collapsing like no other state in the United States of America. I saw it firsthand. And so we have to listen, we expect him to be Jesus. Barack Obama is not Jesus. Barack Obama is not Jesus. And you also have to understand that the president can do what he can do, but sometimes but he also has to work with the Congress in order to pass legislation. And when you have a Congress that says that anything the president wants, we're going to kill because they did not want him to win, how then can we hold him accountable? Absolutely. Yes, he did some great things. Yes, he did some things that are not so good, but in the overall, I think he gets an A.
Well, one final thing.
Go ahead.
And,
yes,
well, you grade high. I'll give you that. But in regards to comparison and contrast, when I mentioned the banking industry and the auto industry,
yes,
in regards to the banks, what they did was, for the most part, take that money and buy up other banks and other financial institutions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Bank of America, what do they do with their $400 billion?
I got 5 seconds. I'll answer your call. I got 5 seconds. I got to move on. But go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. No, I'm listening.
Well, I'm just saying quickly, the banking industry got off the hook, and he didn't hold them accountable as he could have, in my opinion.
You know what? You have a point. He could have done better. I do not disagree with you that. In fact, some of the bankers, after they gave the bailout, they had significant bonuses as a result of it. I agree. I agree with that. Okay, maybe I'll move down to an A-. Is that okay? All right. Let's go. Next caller. Thanks for calling. You're at the intersection with Senator Isadore Hall. What say ye?
Hello, Senator Hall. How are you? My name is Jonathan Edwards in Bronx, New York.
How you doing? Give me first name again.
Jonathan Edwards.
Jonathan, how's New York?
It's okay.
All right. It sounds like you got something to say here.
No, I'm in the process of moving out of this state, but
okay.
One of the things I was listening to the broadcast, and one of the things I wanted to ask was, okay, we understood that Barack Obama had challenges because of the Congress, but what about the 2 years where he had a completely Democratic House and Senate? And then what about the things that he could have done through executive order that he didn't do, like have the banks investigated? What about the things that he didn't do with the SBA loans? We had the lowest SBA loans given to us in the history of SBA loans. It was like 2%. We got 9 under Bush.
Mm-hmm.
So when we dance around the issues that we talk about, we're not looking at Barack to be a savior. I mean, me personally, I'm surprised the man was still alive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, just to be honest, I mean, this country turned into the most racist place I've ever seen in my life, and I'm 50 years old.
True that.
So, there were things that he could have done through executive order without asking permission.
Mm-hmm.
See, the one thing that Democrats do that Republicans don't do, they don't ask permission.
Mm-hmm.
George Bush wanted to go to war. He went to war.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
I got a Republican Senate, Republican House. The man threatened my daddy. We're going to war. I don't care what you say.
Mm-hmm.
And how am I going to do it without an act of war? I'm going to commit 100% of the U.S. Marine Corps, which I can do. That's the president's own.
Right.
So now I can bring the rest of the military in, and now you got a full-fledged war on two fronts created because of a beef that ain't had nothing to do with nothing.
Yeah, so the executive order, the powers of the executive order are limited in scope, right? You just can't, through an executive order, do an extreme bailout, and that's why the president did not do an executive order for the bailout. You still
I'm
need.
not talking about the bailout. I'm talking about the investigation of these banks before the bailout was even given.
Well,
and then you didn't give any directive that you have to reinvest in this community. Sure, you did some marginal stuff to help some people that were in trouble. But in 2008 and 2009, it's the first time in American history 1 million people lost their homes.
Yeah, and so you have to realize that the first 2 years of his administration. Listen, I'm not President Barack Obama by any stretch of the imagination, but the fact of the matter is that the first 2 years in any presidency, right, you're still trying to get your footing, and not get his footing, but get the footing of the hemorrhaging of the nation. Listen, I was in the legislature I was elected to the legislature when he was elected president, and for the first year and a half, we were hemorrhaging, trying to stop the bleeding, and an executive order could not move forward to try to stop the hemorrhaging federally because you needed a congressional act to allow for the funding to move. Yes.
We're not talking about helping the banks. We're talking about helping the people. You're talking about stopping the bleeding that the banks are going through.
Well, helping the people. He cannot move.
Barack Obama never addressed.
Do you know?
After you got through the bleeding, okay, now it's time to address the causes.
So here's what and
to institute some remedies so that the bleeding never happens again.
So
he let these guys rock away with golden parachutes. I mean, the evidence of who the man
I'm not going to debate the issue of the golden parachute piece. I agree with that.
I know.
But I'm not going to disagree with you on that. I'm in fact agreeing with you on that. But if you want to help if you want to help the people, you need money to help the people. And they were cutting programs left and right, federally and statewide and countywide because of the economic collapse. We needed 3 years to get for lack of better words, an infusement to restabilize America in certain states. We needed an infusement. And so you can't just say, okay, well, we're having an economic collapse here, but take more money and create these type of programs. That's not the way it works. We were broke, and we were broke. We were stopping Medicare, Medicaid. We were cutting off senior housing programs, FEMA. We're cutting all kind of programs because we were hemorrhaging, and it took at least 2.5 years for the federal government to get its footing, and certainly for state.
The other 5 years.
But again,
the other 5.
Well, could he get any legislation done?
He gave them the bailouts.
Are you listening? Are you listening?
Chrysler, all the big guys.
Yes.
He never came back and addressed none of the stuff with the small people.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Americans have 2.6% of the nation's wealth. Are you aware of that?
I am.
Okay. 2% of that 2.6 is being held in real estate.
We got 5 seconds because we got to get to the next call. Go ahead, brother. I'm listening. I want to answer your question. Go ahead.
So now, if you don't empower black people to be able to move forward like everyone else in the world has been able to move forward through their investments being able to grow in value over a period of time.
Yeah, so here's the deal. We got to take the next call. I'm sorry. I had to move on. I want to make sure that we keep him online, get his call, because I want to call him back. But here's the deal. The President of the United States of America, you cannot wave a magic wand and say, okay, we want this to happen, we want that to happen, we want that to happen. When you have a Congress that is but we couldn't even get a Supreme Court justice nominated. He nominated a Supreme Court justice, and the Senate said basically, hey, we're not going to bring him forward because it's an election year. which is unprecedented. And they didn't. This was his nominee. The president also wanted to bring forth what they call urban minority programs. And we couldn't because the Congress blocked the budget. They wouldn't pass the budget to allow for the programs to move forward. The Congress passes the budget. The president lays the budget. The Congress passes the budget. And I need you to understand this. That's what we call different branches, the three branches of government. The president can propose a budget, but the Congress is the one that actually passes it. And if they don't pass it, it doesn't move forward. It does not move forward. And that's what we're having right now. And that's why right now, while we have the Democratic Congress and or House of Representatives and Republican Senate, that's why you have a checks and balances of Congress right now. Because Trump at one point was able to move all of his nonsense through. But now that the House of Representatives is a Democratic House, now there's checks and balances. Because it's the power of the Congress. We have taken over Zoe's YouTube station. We're at The Intersection you're listening to. Follow us at The Intersection Live on YouTube. I want to thank Zoe for letting us take over the YouTube channel, and we're happy about it. Give us a call, 323-230-4445. It's hot right now. I like it. Just saying.
This is The Intersection on Dash Talk X
with Senator Isadore Hall and Nikki Flores.
It's a growing problem in the U.S. White nationalist attacks against religious and racial minorities are surging. The deadly shooting at a Jewish synagogue near San Diego over the weekend was only the latest. Trump is facing renewed criticism. It's not doing enough to confront it.
To pretend that the president is anything but outraged or heartbroken over these incidents is a total mischaracterization.
Let's take the call. We're on the call. You're at The Intersection. Thanks for calling, Senator Isadore Hall. What say ye?
Senator Hall, I got a real question for you, man. I'm not going to argue about no housing and no Barack Obama. I want to talk about black people and money. Okay?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Where are you calling from, brother?
So, man, you're from California, right? California got the highest financial economic system for black people, right? Like, we make the most money in California, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Agreed?
I agree.
How come we don't have a national black trust?
Good question.
How come every state has multiple white trust companies? Things like the Heritage Trust.
I can barely hear you. Maybe it's because do you have your radio on, maybe on high?
No, hold on. Is that better now?
That's much better. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so like in Oklahoma City, they had this company called the Heritage Trust Fund, right? Mm-hmm. It's ran by a bunch of white people with millions of dollars. We have a bunch of black people in this country with millions of dollars, but yet we do not have an all-black trust. We have entertainers, we have congressmen, we have senators, we have all these elected officials, we have multimillionaire business conglomerates with black people on boards, right? But these black people are not leading our people. Mm-hmm. They're making money. It's about individualism. Tell me why, as a senator, this is not something that you're pushing towards for black America.
Well, actually, we are. We have black banks in California that are investing in black economic empowerment, if you will. Broadway is one.
What is that, Broadway?
Broadway National Bank. Okay. We have several black banks. We have a few black credit unions that are invested in black empowerment opportunities. You have the California Endowment that has billions of dollars that are investing in
endowments don't do nothing for black
people. Well, but it does in terms of empowerment and training. It does do that. It gives training for you to empower you to go out and do great things. It does do that. But you asked a question. There are black banks here in California. There are black credit unions here in California that are investing in economic power and economic empowerment of the African American population here in California. Is it at the level of other states? I don't know that. And I think you might, with all due respect, you might know better. You might know better. I don't know what other states are doing. I only know what California is doing. There could be other states that are doing better than California in that regard. What do you think? Do you think so?
I'm not in California. I'm asking about California because you're a senator. I know nothing about California.
Got you. Oh, I just thought you were touting the fact that other states are doing this, and I was saying they may have been doing a better job.
What I'm trying to figure out is, if California has the most money, how come California is not leading the charge and building a trust for Black America? Because a trust simply holds assets, right?
Mm-hmm. That's correct. Yes.
So if we had a Black trust where we can put our money into it, just like we do a 401k system, because that comes out of your pre-tax dollars and it goes into a savings plan.
Good question.
How come we don't have one for Black America?
Good question. I think we need to start promoting the Black institutions, though, that are doing that a little more. And I think we perhaps have been derelict in our responsibility of doing that.
Okay. Next week when you come on here, I'm going to call you every week until we figure out a way that we could do this segment by segment, because if you are going to be on the radio talking about all these Black issues, we need to skip Barack Obama's ass because he's dead and gone.
He's not dead. He's not president.
Bro. He's never going to be the president again. He's never going to have an impact on Black America again. They got him in there.
I'll tell you what we're going to do. Next week, you give us a call, and I'll give you an entire list of these institutions that we have in California that are building economic power. All right, and then I want you to do me one better. I need you to do likewise from New York or wherever you're from.
Oklahoma. Okay, we're gonna do
pound for pound.
Yeah,
you got it.
Yeah, because I guarantee you, in Oklahoma, we don't have that. That's what I'm calling about.
Well, I'll give you some uplift from California. Are you trying to move?
No, I'm not trying to move.
Come on down here, and
I'm trying to build an economic base in the Midwest for us.
I appreciate your work.
That's what I'm thinking about, because I'm born and raised from Kansas, but I live in Oklahoma now because the oil field is booming. I get money out there. You know what I mean?
Right.
From Oklahoma to Texas. So
right.
At the end of the day, we make all this money, but all we do is pay bills and waste it on material.
To your point, we don't listen. If we save 10% of our earnings, right? We save 10% of our earnings every year, right? In 30 years, we'll be set to retire without even using the retirement from our respective places of employment. We'll have saved enough money just by 10% of us saving our own money. You follow me?
But only people who make 75, well, probably 150 and up can actually save money like that. I'm a regular man, you know what I'm saying? And I work hard as shit for my money, but I can't save anything.
Right.
Because at the end of the day...
Let me ask you a question. Because I've had this conversation. Maybe this perhaps is not your story, but it's a story of individuals that I have all the time, folks, that I happen to know. And I ask them all the time, what are you saving? Are you saving? They're not saying, well, I can't save. And I know this is not your story, but I'm just using this since we're talking about it over the radio.
Mm-hmm.
They say they can't save, but Lil Jojo is walking around here with $170 pair of shoes on. And he has the newest cell phone and iPad, and he's only 8, 9, 10 years old. Hold on.
I'm with you on this.
So we do what we want to do when we want to do it. Now, I know there are many folks that don't have it, and that's fine. I get that. My mom, we were raised off food stamps, bro. Government cheese, block of cheese, powdered milk, all that. Food stamps.
I understand.
Okay, so we make excuses. Not we as in me and you, but there are some who are making excuses for their inability to contribute to a savings plan. But because their savings plan is going to $175 pair of shoes, a $800 radio or phone and a $1,200 iPad. I had to go to Payless with the Nike sign backwards.
Right.
when I was growing up, you know. So
Okay.
hey man, so
Okay,
next
now,
week, listen, we got to go.
let me
Next
answer
week,
that,
next
Jimmy,
week,
right?
next week, come back on. We'll talk about a little bit more. We got to move on. I'll have the information that you need, and we'll have a more robust conversation. Take care. Thanks for calling in. Thank you. You're at the intersection with Senator Isadore Hall. We're taking over Zoe's YouTube channel. Thanks for calling in. 323-230-4445. And follow us at the intersection live on YouTube.
Good morning. And just to be clear, the parental dress code only applies for this school. It's not district-wide. And the policy says that attire that is, quote, totally unacceptable for a school setting will get parents kicked off campus. Now, some people like the new rules. Other people say it just really dresses down parents. The roughly
So as you heard, listen, we've got 2 points I need to make today. I've got about 8 minutes. Producers telling me what? Okay. I need you to call in on this issue, 323-230-4445. This high school issue that is that's being discussed right now, I believe in Houston, Texas. A principal has basically said that the parents need to have a dress code to bring their kids to school. I believe it's James Madison High School, Miss Carlotta Brown out of Texas. And I want to hear your opinion on this. I actually think it's decent. I'm okay with dress codes all around, with teacher dress codes, with parent dress. I'm okay with that because I see how California, you know, for the most part in California, we have dress codes in California in most schools. It has reduced the bullying on campuses. It has reduced the identification with the set on our campuses, so forth and so on. And she's getting a lot of backlash over there in Houston, out there in Houston at the James Madison High School. But I think there's something to be said about that.
I say, yeah, dress code wins like parent-teacher night, but not dropping your kid off. Or I say, yeah, dress code for basketball games, like sporting events and school events, but not for dropping your kid off and nothing like that, picking your kid up from school.
Well, if you don't have a color-coded attire, there should be certain type of attire. Parents should not be out there bringing their kids to school with Daisy Dukes.
I hear you.
Okay.
I hear you.
Let's go to the call. Call, you say what? We're coming back to this. It's not over. Hi, thanks for calling. You're at the intersection with Senator Isadore Hall. What say ye?
Hey, this is Anthony from Chicago. I used to be an educator for 11 years, teaching culinary arts in high school.
Yes, sir.
And the subject about them wearing proper attire to school, I think is very important. I think the system has purposely broken down the fiber in our communities with this education. They used to let the kids just get away with everything when I was teaching. They couldn't make it to school at 8 o'clock. So now it's good to come at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
No structure.
Right.
And I believe this dress code will help add some structure back into it.
I appreciate your call. Thank you. And he's got a point. Thanks for calling. You're online with Senator Isadore Hall. You're at the intersection. Thanks for calling. What say ye?
No, I wanted to get in on this whole dress code thing.
Go right ahead. I'm listening.
Okay. I have violated myself in the past. I think that this is something.
Wait a minute. You say what now? What? What'd you say? You've been violated?
Hold on. I have violated in the past myself.
Okay.
Showing up with a white beater and gym shorts and flip-flops.
Mm-hmm.
Dropping my daughter off to school, school, daycare when she was younger. Now, granted, this was a couple years ago. Thing about it is this. I feel as though this is something that was more or less targeted towards, like, the ratchets, so to speak.
The ratchet?
Wait, the what?
What did you say? It was targeted towards what?
The ratchets. More or less targeted towards the ratchets. be it black, white, or whatever. No, seriously, because this is something that has
You got to finish. I need you to finish your point because we got one more call, then we got to go. The producers are going to put me off.
Well, tell you what, I have also violated, but real talk, dress code, I don't blame her for that.
Got you. I'm with you. Thanks for calling. You're at the intersection with Senator Isadore Hall. What say ye?
Okay, so I just have a question. And what that's going to be is if a parent doesn't want to leave the grounds of the school, is the school going to call the police on them or something of that nature? Something like that kind of makes me a little wary because if you call like the police on somebody because of how they're dressed, that just
I don't think
rubs me the wrong way.
I hear you, and I don't think that should be the case. I don't think law enforcement should not be called because a parent is not in compliance with a dress code. No crime has been taken or been had or done, and I think that would be that'll be a bridge too far. I doubt very seriously if that's the case, and if it is the case, then I wouldn't be able to support a measure like that at all. Thanks for calling. You're at the intersection. I'll see you this time, same time next week on the intersection. I want to thank Dash Talk X and for having us on, and I want to also thank Zoe for allowing us to take over his YouTube channel. Nicole Flores is not with us today. She'll be back next week. Until then, follow us at the intersection. Until then, be good to yourself and be nice to people. God bless you. Until next week. And that was fire.